Hey everybody, Tim here with today's episode of The Mandalorian, the season 1 finale. It's chapter 8, Redemption, and it's really sad that it's over already because, yeah, there were some trailers for it and everything, but nobody knew what to expect for this series. And it's blown people away. I know people who have never seen a Star Wars movie ever. Believe it or not, I actually know quite a few people who have never seen Star Wars. And this show has actually they do watch this show. They're like, I don't know anything about this empire or anything like that, but the baby Yoda's so cute, and just this series alone has just kind of almost redefined Star Wars. And it's really kind of interesting to watch all the different people's opinions and just the budget and the actors and everything about it. Jon Favreau should be really proud of himself. So, I don't know, he just announced today as well that there will be a season 2 later next year. So I think that's really awesome as well, because, I don't know, it's completely going by storm at this point. So overall, for me, the series was really well done, but not a lot of it was a shock or a twist, which is great, because unfortunately a lot of cinema today requires that bait and hook, and it's basically here's what we're showing you, oh nope, this is what it actually is, and it's all about that big twist. And unfortunately, most of the time, either you see the twist so far ahead of time that it doesn't work, or the twist is so forced on you that it's still, you're just that's it. I hate to say it, but that's kind of how episode 9 is in theaters right now. And minor spoiler for episode 9, the whole Chewbacca thing, that's one of those forced twists, and you're like, what? It didn't work. Whereas this show is very upfront. If you just pay attention, everything you need to know about this show is right there. And it's great. And as you follow through, it all makes sense. And it's just really good storytelling. And that's what I think is really enjoyable about it. So from the opening scene going down like usual, the troopers that can't shoot is great. And I like how he even shakes the gun. And it's just nah, that's not my fault. IG-11 shows up, who, this is his third or fourth time in the series. And his voice is played by Taika Waititi, who's a fantastic director, actor, everything. And he actually directed this episode as well, which is kind of funny because now Star Wars is owned by Disney, and Waititi is kind of well known for Disney right now because he also directed Thor Ragnarok, so most recently. So being in it's two Disney things going on at the same time. So I think that's really great. We find out all three of the trio's names, the Shock Trooper, Carl Weathers' character, and then most notably the Mandalorian is Din Djarin, I think is how they said it. So that's kind of interesting. And then, of course, that obviously, because who didn't know that, means that the other character is Moff Gideon. So the fact that he's a Moff is actually pretty impressive. Kind of like Moff Tarkin. So it's just a position, and it's kind of interesting. I'm curious to see as they explore this series, what exactly he's been doing in the Star Wars universe. They do talk about how the Mandalorians are not a race, it's a creed. And I'm going to kind of disagree on that one a little bit. I am not super steeped in the Star Wars culture, but I don't know. I've always thought, Mandalorian is an actual race of people. So the fact where he's it's not a race, it's a creed. I was is that true? Because, in Rebels, they had their own homeworld, and there was clearly a race of people. So that one kind of threw me a little bit for a loop. Baby Yoda holding back the fire was just amazing. And then still, I love it to this day where he does this big powerful moment and he's and done, and just takes a nap. So stuff like that's great. Though another thing I do disagree with this episode is IG-11 takes off the Mandalorian's helmet, and we finally see Pedro Pascal's face. And I was was that really necessary? Because I knew who he was. Because I read credits, stuff like that. I watched Game of Thrones. I know the actor. in that type of sense. Like, I knew who he was, and I could already kind of visualize what he looked like. To me, it was kind of a mistake. Like, I don't think that they should have actually shown his face. I mean, if you really wanted that scene, you could show, like, IG starting the helmet off, maybe even getting to, like, right here, and then cut, or go to a different angle where we don't see his face. Because I wanted it to be very, like, V for Vendetta. Especially even in that movie, like, where it's, who was it? Like, Hugo Weaving. Like, I know what Hugo Weaving looks like. And so the whole time he was talking, I was like, I know what you look like. But they never showed his face that I can recall. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. But I was like, and that worked. Like, I'm glad we never got to see it. So, like, I get why they did it, but I kind of disagree with the actual reveal of the face. Seeing the pile of helmets was really sad. And then the female Mandalorian showing up, which still I'm not 100% sure that that's not Sabine, I think was her name, from Rebels. Like, I've said that before in other reviews for this series. Like, I'm pretty sure that's her, but whatever. And then they actually say, like, oh, the Baby Yoda is a foundling. Like, I mean, I guess if you had to name it, like, I guess that works, but whatever. And we see how much of a badass she is when she takes out, like, the stormtroopers. The lava river was great filming. Like, just, it looked really well. Like, the whole thing about the series is how beautiful it actually looks. IG-11 self-destruct was really sad. And this whole, like, the title Redemption shows all of these different characters and how they kind of redeem themselves. And then kind of the big twist at the end is, like, the Mandalorian escaping with the Baby Yoda. Carl Weathers and the shock trooper decide to stay and kind of redefine the town. And then the big twist is Moff Gideon cutting his way out of the TIE fighter with the Darksaber. Like, what the fuck is that? I was so happy. I squealed. I, like, paused it, rewound it, watched it again. I was like, this is great. I mean, I'm sure most people who are at least are watching this and watching the series know what that is. I mean, mostly all of my knowledge of it comes from Rebels. And so, again, like, that's the last time we saw the lightsaber or the Darksaber was Rebels. So I think that was great. And I'm really kind of curious to see how that ties into it. Overall, I really enjoyed this episode. I really enjoyed this series. I think it was great. Potentially one of the better things that I watched this year, if not the best. Like, I have to go through and see all the different new shows I watched this year. But it was really well done. Really liked it. And I cannot wait for season 2 at this point. So for those who have seen it, like, that know more about Star Wars than I do, what did you guys think about it? Like, from the acting, from the characters, from the actors, from the Mandalorian having his helmet removed, the Baby Yoda foundling, all of it. What did you guys think? What do you hope to see in season 2? Especially now that, like, the movies are kind of done at this point. And supposedly there are other shows in the works, like potentially like an Obi-Wan Kenobi show. And they kind of hinted at Boba Fett in one of the episodes. So what do you guys think about this? Who do you want to see if they do more of them? Go ahead, let me know, and I will see you guys presumably next fall for season 2.